Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm late. That's right, I'm late. Sorry. We had a big dinner at the clubhouse, and I was sitting down, and we will see if anybody pops on. Now, I can see people in the chat. Angie says she forgot she's coming. Those pretty green eyes. I wonder what you guys were seeing. Love homemade accents. That's right. Time change can make things crazy. So I apologize because usually I'm 9 o'clock at my time. Time change. It's 8 o'clock. Sorry, I forgot. And I was walking home from the clubhouse and I thought, okay, how long do I have before I have to do my live stream? Craziness. I'm in my art room, if you guys don't know. I don't have anything in the background. If you can see me and everything is working okay, just put something in the chat for me to know that everything is happening okay. Oh, and see, there's Jeannie. Hi, Jeannie. How are you? Sorry, it's just, I talked about this the other day. It just mixes me up when it has time changes. And because we're not changing, just everybody in the whole country is changing but us, and I know it's either Alaska or Hawaii. It's just crazy. Thanks so much. So luckily, Angie calls and she says, did you forget about your live? See, I'm thinking I still have a whole 50 minutes, but no, I don't. So I didn't even have time to put up my green screen, and I don't have all my lights on. That's, I think, why my glasses are reflecting. And oh, good, Jeannie says she can hear me. I'm going to turn my other light on because then it's brighter. How's that? Is that a little bit better? I hope so. And says, stopping by to say good night, heading off to bed here. It is late. I know a lot of different places when it's late night with Nana. Have a good weekend. Well, tomorrow, Joe and I are going up to, I think they pronounce it Mitri Lake. And we're having a plein air. So I'm actually going to take my pastels up there, and we are going to do some painting, but we have fishing license in Arizona. So we are going to fish. Joe's going to fish while I'm doing it. And then he's going to fish after. I'm going to help fish afterwards too, because we both have fishing licenses here. But you should see the growth on the pumpkins. Now, I planted them quite a while ago, but then it was so chilly, not cold, because in Arizona, in our part, is not cold ever. But it was chilly. The nights, some of them even got down in the 30s. And so that was a little iffy. I was a little concerned, but now they are just like, the plant itself is just massive. The leaves aren't quite as big as I expected them to be on such a giant pumpkin. I mean, there's lots of leaves, but not quite what I expected. And so it's setting. And so I'm going to wait till I have a few of them are about the size of soccer balls, probably. And I think I'll take some of them off because I do want them to be big. And I only have a month left before we're about ready to go back. And so it's questionable how big those pumpkins will get, but I do think they should do pretty good. Hello, Best Yet Journey. How are ya? She's saying hi to everybody. Jeannie, that was the case. The nights were cool, which it was a lot cooler than normal here in our part of Arizona. And I think that was really the issue of why it wasn't growing as well. But now, the nights are, 65, 70 degrees. I suppose some nights it'll dip down into the 50s. But it's been good. And, We are happy. Um, but I got every single rootstock that matched as a scion. I got those all done. I potted up some petunias, and I potted up um, peppermint. And Teresa, we talked about peppermint, and I can get live plants here. So I'm wondering, do you want me to just get you one and just mail it to you? Because we talked about peppermints and how hard it was finding them. But I potted up a couple that my sister-in-law and my niece took back with them. They left today back to South Dakota. And I planted some in the ground, but they had more. So I could go get some more peppermint if you want a live plant. Made it to 34 degrees here today. It's getting down to 14 tonight. Yeah, it's going to be cold in Gillette tonight too. And so I only have like a month left. And then I begin my gardening cycle all over again. And so that is interesting because I have to decide what kind of things to do, what things I need to just get seeds for, or what things I need to actually try to start here. Because I could root things, because like right now I'm rooting sweet potatoes. I could take some of the suckers off of my tomato plants and root those, because that's much easier to take home than it is whole plants, because I have all those apple trees and I had the garlic to take. Now, I'm not taking hardly any of my art stuff home. And that is because I have some art stuff up there, but I just don't want to have to keep moving it back and forth. So I'd rather have just some in both places. So I'm going to do that. That is awesome. But whatever is the easiest and cheapest for you. I think I could probably box them up and pack them with some peanuts, or when I've gotten live plants before, what they've done is they've wrapped bubble wrap around the plant, and then put stakes in the plant so that if the plant would move, the stake itself would bump up into the box, and so it couldn't crush the plant at all. So I think I'll do that for you. And then I'll just mail it off on Monday, because my little post office isn't open on Saturdays. And so I'll send you a tracking number for that also. And my sister and I were talking about mints. How many different kinds of mints are there? Well, there's a lot. And there's a lot in the mint family. And like down here right now, I just have peppermint growing. But back in Wyoming, I have spearmint, I have peppermint, I have orange mint, and I have apple mint. I have grown chocolate mint different times, but I haven't been able to get that to come back where the other mints have come back. And what about you guys? What kind of mints are you growing? Now, mints are nice because you can just dry the leaves and just have a simple tea with basically any kind of mint that you grow. I do have to say that peppermint is one of my favorites for tea-wise. But when you smell orange mint and apple mint, lemon mint, it's just spectacular. And look who's here, 12 Stones Ranch. I understand that there was a storm where you live. So I hope you guys are all good. And Lulu's Trevor Trove. That is a great name. I love it. Just popping in to say, hope you had a beautiful Friday, St. Patty's Day. Well, today we did corned beef, potatoes, cabbage, carrots, salad. Because we had dinner out down at the clubhouse, and Louise and I and Ping and Tammy put it all together, and Joe helped with the grocery shopping, so that was nice. And I made this cake, because I wanted things to be green. So there's a lot of things that were green, right? And like we turned the lemonade, we put food color in it, so it was green. We had salads. We had green Jello with fruit on it and homemade whipped cream on it. But the cake itself, because we were putting fruit cocktail on top of the Jello after it sat, before we put the whipped cream, I saved all the juice from that, and then I replaced the juice plus a little bit of water in each of the cake mixes. I just divided the juice up into the 4 cake mixes. And then we put pistachio pudding on top instead of frosting. It is really good. And Angie, if you pop back in, or if you're still in, the pistachio pudding instead of icing was fabulous. And I mean, I've put puddings before on tops of cakes and stuff, but I had never put a pistachio, but I wanted everything to be green. And so that was really interesting. That whole taste match. And then because we added fruit cocktail, the juice from the fruit cocktail in the cake, it just gave this moist, fabulous tasting cake. And so we were all excited about it. And there was giveaways. We gave away a turkey, and we did 50-50. We always do that at the dinners, and there's all kinds of people. And I had one of my paintings, and I was giving it as a giveaway, one of my 4x4s. Well, everybody that came in got a ticket that could win some of those, right? And so I had a ticket, Joe had a ticket, everybody had a ticket. So one of the gals draws out, and who wins? Joe does. And I said, Joe, you can't win that. I painted that. You can't win. I can paint another one. I said, so we have to draw again. And so the other gal draws another ticket out. It was our other ticket. Twice. We were supposed to have my painting back, but we drew a third time because it was just like, oh my gosh, I can't win my own present that I donated. And so it was totally fun. It was so delicious. Oh, there's Ange. Thank you so much, Ange. I just don't know what to do without you. And look who's here, Henry and Irene, Brainstorm Makers, my friends from that are also in Arizona, and they have a great YouTube channel. Managed to get here for a few minutes, so thank you so much for that. And Doug is in here. Hey, Doug. Please tell Shelly that I said hello. And Doug, I was late, and she had to call me on the phone. I keep saying time changes mess me up in Arizona because we don't change. I'm seriously going to have to set my phone so that I have reminders for a while until I get used to it. And then I'll be back in Wyoming, and it's a different time zone then. It's funny because sometimes I'm the same time zone as back home, and sometimes I'm not. So it's kind of crazy. Oh, Henry and Irene said that they have mud. We got so much rain. Now, let's step back with that. In Yuma, Arizona, in the middle of the wintertime, when you say you get so much rain, guess how much it is? 1/4 of an inch. But it actually rained. Because it just doesn't rain here. Now, up in Flagstaff, over in Tucson, even by Phoenix, it rained more than that. But we were excited because I have a rain gauge, right? 1/4 of an inch. It was crazy. And May sunshine. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you too. I hope everybody's wearing green. I actually have green shorts on. They're not bright green. When everybody came down, all kinds of people were wearing green because it's St. Patrick's Day and it's dinner, right? My dad, who's 91 years old, is completely green. He has bright green pants. He has bright green shirt on. He has a hat that's green. And he has a sparkly tie that's green. So my dad was completely green. It was the cutest thing ever because he's 91 years old. And I just have to say it was just great. Doug says that he is up late, was trying to contact a Facebook friend in Hawaii on the ham radio. Did you get a hold of him? How exciting. That is fun. Doug, we're going fishing this weekend. I'll let you know what we catch. I hope we catch something. It'll be totally fun. We have no heat upstairs. Not sure why. We'll try to fix tomorrow. You're going to have to pile on those covers or sleep downstairs. Maybe it's just a fuse, though. You know, you'll have to figure it out tomorrow. That's right. A quarter of an inch is pretty good for us. Now, in the summer, sometimes the monsoons, when they come into Arizona, hit Yuma, and sometimes they don't. I mean, they can go for a year and a half and not have any rain. In fact, that happened not too long ago, a few years ago. But this winter, actually, not that we haven't even had a total of an inch all winter long, right? But it has been like I'll wake up in the night, I can hear it raining, which is more like sprinkling, but it's okay. He didn't want to get pinched. He could hear me, but I couldn't hear him. Oh, that's too bad. You guys will just have to try again and do it another time. Hi, Charmaine. How are ya? Yeah, we were just talking about rain, Charmaine. It is crazy. And people will say down here, they'll say, man, that was a lot of rain. Or did you see that rain, all that rain? And it's like, yeah, that's a quarter of an inch. But it's fun. Do you have rain barrels? I have rain barrels. I have 5 of them. I used to have 6, 5 of them back up there in Wyoming. And one of my things is that we want to have rain gutters in collection down here. And so Joe is adding downspouts for us. And he had to clean out all the gutters, which they're really narrow gutters. They're not like your regular ones that you have on a house back, where we live back home. And there was just a lot of, I had that cactus that was growing up there. So there was all that root, and there was dirt, and there was leaves and all kinds of stuff. So Joe cleared that all out, and he's attaching the 2 rain gutters. And it looks like at some point they had them before. And I did find online some barrels, rain barrels that are supposed to be okay in the heat, because where the water comes down on where we get the most water on that side, it would be in the sun a lot in the afternoon. So from what I can see, these rain barrels would work. They're supposed to be treated enough so that the heat is okay with them. I love the smell of rain too. I miss it in the winter. The smell of rain back in Wyoming. Sometimes you can smell it before it starts to rain. Always you can smell it afterwards. And it's just one of those smells that are amazing. We are out of time in 1 minute. Nice seeing you all. Henry and Irene, thanks so much for stopping in. And it's heirloom permaculture. I love permaculture. In our house in Wyoming, one of the hills, we have a lot of trees, fruit trees and nut trees and stuff anyway. But on the one side is called what I call my food forest. And this year I'm going to move a bunch of, because I have layers. I have the taller trees, the smaller trees, the hedges, that are fruiting. And I do have garlic up there around some of the fruit trees, but I don't have a lot of the low growing level of the permaculture. And so I thought I would move a lot of the strawberries up there. Okay. It was supposed to say that. Okay. I know when you're typing, sometimes it's just like, it's craziness. And so that's one of my goals, to move those up there. And I do have some grass that's there, but it's not like we don't mow it up there anymore. Joe will sometimes take the weed whacker and cut in that area. But I never let him even um, use the weed whacker until after all the tulips are done. Because one year I threw tulips up onto that hill, and no matter where they landed, that's where I planted them. And so in the springtime, it's just lovely. And there's all these different colored tulips on that hill, and the apple trees are flowering, and the currants and the chokecherries are up there are flowering, and it's just spectacular. So basically, I have had the policy of no mow on May. I don't know if you guys know what that is. You don't mow your yard whatsoever in May. It gives a chance for all those new native pollinators, because a lot of times there'll be dandelions and there'll be clovers and different things that they can have some early foraging in. And so we just don't mow any of our yard in May. So sometimes the grass is kind of high, but that's okay. We just don't have to, we don't have to mow in May. And I had read a long time ago um, about not mowing in May, and so we just adopted that. Um, Makes it easy for Joe. He knows he doesn't have to mow or weed whack anything, and the native population, pollinators really like it. Since Monday, we have been rescuing cattle from dairymen in floodwaters, and for cattlemen also that needed their cattle out of the floodwater. Very scary. This mama on pins and needles. Oh, I can't even imagine. So, traumatizing for the farmers, the ranchers, the cattle themselves, the people helping. Just be very, very careful, because that could just be horrible. Sometimes the squirrels dig up my tulips and daffodils. Oh, see, I'm not surprised with the tulips, but I am surprised with the daffodils, because back home, like voles, they'll eat my tulip bulbs, but they won't eat my daffodil bulbs. But those squirrels, they're rascally rabbits. So my dad down here has a squirrel that comes to visit him every day now. And he has this little wood pile for when he's doing his fire pit. And my dad, when he sees the squirrel, he walks out, and the squirrel doesn't run away. He might go up 5 feet in the tree, and my dad puts these nuts, peanuts, or whatever he has on the wood pile, and then on this just stump thing. And the squirrel just makes its noises and goes back and forth and eats them. And my dad said the other day one of the feral cats was trying to eat a nut, which I was a little surprised. Doug says, I got to go to bed. Much love to you and Joe. Thank you very much. And please tell Shelly that we love her. And I hope all is well and you have a great weekend. And everybody else is telling Doug and Shelly too. Oh, and Doug also has, every Sunday, he has a live stream. It's 5 o'clock, my regular time. Doug, I'm going to have to figure that out, because time changes. I have to figure it out. I'll look it up. It's so crazy, because it was always 5 o'clock, my regular time. So I would guess I would watch it at 4 o'clock now. I don't know. I'm going to have to look it up. Messes with the brain. My brother, he was down here visiting his wife and my niece and her boyfriend. And we went to the nursery, and I did a short on it. They bought us they let me pick it out, a clementine citrus. It would be like a cutie. At Christmas time, you always buy those bags of cuties, those little oranges, and they're really easy to peel. It's actually a tangerine, but everybody calls them an orange. But mine's a clementine, and it's packed with flowers. Most of those flowers will fall off because I'm transplanting it. But it smells divine. And they bought it so in memory of Christian, our grandson. And so I'm going to have a special little plaque done. And my mom was telling about this T-shirt that she had seen, and it was about someone a young person that had passed away. And it said sunrise, and it had their birthday, and it said sunset, and it had the day that they had passed away. And so I thought that's what I would do on the the plaque, because it's down in Yuma, Arizona. The sun is always shining down here. It's the sunniest place in the entire world, not the warmest, though it is warm most of the time. It is the sunniest place. And so I decided put that, have that plaque made to stick in the ground with that tree. And so Joe's going to hook up the water system for me with that, and I'll let you know how the tree grows. I'm totally excited about it. And Wayne, oh, my phone's making noise. Wayne, how are you? It's all rainy New York evening. I have watched the weather repeatedly, and like New York City is not getting any snow. It's like 300 days. They just barely got a dusting in part of it. I don't think that really even counts. And but other parts of New York have been pounded on. I feel bad for those people in Buffalo and all up there. So much snow. It's been crazy. I make mini picnic table squirrel feeders. Fun. I need to send you one, Sandi. You should send it to me. Just let me know how much it costs and how much it is to ship. That would be so cute. Totally cute. I'm so excited about it. And everybody's saying hi to everybody, so I always like that too. I haven't been harvesting in the garden. Still lots of cherry tomatoes, but we did start picking our first regular sized tomatoes. And when my niece was over, we picked some of them that had turned red. I think they should have been on the plant probably a few more days. I mean, they were completely red, but they tasted like they could have just been a little bit underripe. And so, but now we'll start getting red tomatoes from those plants all the time. And so I'm totally excited about that. Oh, you're so sweet. But seriously, I don't mind at all paying for it and paying for the shipping. So just let me know. And so on Tuesday, a fun thing that I'm going to do is I have a friend down here who does glass. She's a retired teacher. And she used to just have a little room in part of her house. Then she had that and a garage. Now she's taken over both of the garages. And she has this new thing that it's like a kiln, but it's way up in the air, right? And has a little hole in it. And so you get this terracotta pot, but not just a regular one. You order them from Italy because it has to withstand about almost 1500 degrees, 1460 degrees, about in there. And so you put pieces of glass. So it's a great way to use up scrap glass, right? So it's way up above you. And it takes about 2 hours before it starts. So you start the kiln, because it's basically a kiln up there that has a hole in the bottom. And so all the glass goes into this terracotta pot that came from Italy. And so she starts the kiln, and about 2 hours later, it gets molten enough that there's a hole in the bottom of the terracotta, and there's a hole in the bottom of the kiln, and these strings of glass start coming down, right? And so you pull them off and break them off, and you can make them curl, and you can do all this stuff. So anyway, I get to go to her house on Tuesday, and she's going to do some more, and I get some of it so I can do them in projects. I'm just so excited. It was so kind of her to invite me, and just so excited. Charmaine, we haven't picked an exact date, but it will for sure be after April 19th because my dad's turning 92 that day, and I don't want to miss his birthday. Though we did have a happy birthday cake on Thursday because my brother was still here, and all the family and my aunt and uncle came, and some of our friends that are down here, friends of my parents. And so we had an ice cream cake that said happy birthday on the top, and because they won't be here for his birthday, but I want to be here since they'll still be here. because it is 92. And that's an amazing thing when somebody can live to be 92 years old. And so I'm totally excited about that. But I only have a couple more big dinners to oversee at the clubhouse. So after my dad's birthday, we will look for a window of time that from here all the way back to Wyoming, it should be good weather, because that's the problem. That, you don't want to leave here and then in Colorado or Utah, they have a snowstorm, or back home, they're having a snowstorm, because it's still that season. So we will just watch, and then Joe will say, we got to go this day. And then we will go. We'll just pack everything up and go back there. What? Sarah is already in bed. She's still working too hard, isn't she? Yep, every single day. Please tell her that I said hi, and I hope she has a nice weekend. She has a garden meeting in the morning. That would be totally fun. I got a message from my friends back home, my garden friends, and they said they were having a speaker, Scott Scoberberg. He's from Colorado. He comes to Wyoming many times and talks about trees. Anyway, he was talking this last week, and I said how much I wished I was there so that I could listen to him. He always has new trees, and he's very good at, he likes to propagate and cross-pollinate, not necessarily trees, but plants. And so he's always usually bringing the newest thing that they've been working on. And so I'm always excited about, I guess, just seeing what he has to say, new things that are happening. Angie says, broke out the hide-a-bed, sleeping in the living room. The bedroom is far too cold. You better turn your electric blanket on. Yeah, that's weird that the heat would stop working, and I'm sure it's cold there tonight. So, Wayne says, I just heard about that you should keep fruits and small vegetables in glass jars in the refrigerator to keep them fresh for much longer than a few days. I have read both ways on that. So I think everybody should just try it and see what they think. Some people say that it can last for just like ages and ages. I don't really buy that part of it. But the thing about fruits and small vegetables is that they're in your refrigerator. And especially like apples, they are giving off ethylene gas. And ethylene gas ripens things. So if you can put things in containers, plastic or glass, and so the other vegetables and fruit in your refrigerator are not affecting that fruit with ethanol gas, it's totally logical that it would last longer, because you've sealed it up, it's in a glass jar, nothing can permeate through there. And that's, it's just the way it works. If you want things to ripen, you can put them in a paper bag and then add an apple, because that gas will make it ripen. And so it's just interesting. Charmaine says, wouldn't miss it either. Both my folks are gone. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, I know it's the reality of, my dad is 92, but he's still really healthy. I always say there's nothing saying you can't live another 20 years. There's a lot of people over 100 years old in the United States anymore. And so it's always, he's always on my prayers that they live long and they prosper and they're healthy, and God has been good to them. And so I just really appreciate that. And Barb is here. Good evening, young lady. I hope you're having a good day. So I am, see, I missed part of the conversation. Depends on where you live, heat of the day, humidity. Um, if we're still talking about fruits and vegetables, true, true. Um, but like I've really started taking all apples out of my refrigerator. I used to always have them in the crisper, but the ethylene gas would make my other things not last as long. So it's crazy. They say the first person to live to 120 has already been born. Oh, I believe that. Yeah. Seriously, when we look at what medical science can do right now, it used to be if you were 75 or older, they didn't even want to do surgery on you because it's just like your life's basically over. They would always say it was more dangerous to have the surgery than just not. But they don't say that anymore. I mean, last year my dad had surgery. That's why we stayed until May because he was having surgery and he came through it in flying colors. So I would bet, you know, in the really in the next 20 years, we will have an explosion of people over 100 years old. I mean, there's already a lot, but I think it could really just escalate, which is really good. Um, it just does have a set of circumstance that is interesting that we will have to see all those things, because sometimes what it's not good, but it happens is that our society doesn't value elderly people like other cultures do. But I think the bad thing is that we lose their stories. We lose all that knowledge that they know. And sometimes we get, you know, there's an attitude that we just know so much more than those old people do. But they know so much things that we don't know. And it's just the way it is. They are so careful about that when with the 75-year-old and older. I think that's true, but there are a lot of surgeries that they just wouldn't do before when they were older, but now they do it. And how many people I know just this winter had shoulder surgery or knee surgery or hip surgery. It's just like, wow, crazy. Um, Back in Italy, you messed with an elderly, you were shunned, blacklisted even, at least until 1997. After that, I have no idea. There's a lot of cultures that they're very proud of their elderly people and very cautious with them and they protect them. I think it's a sad thing, but it's not just older people in the United States that other people consider throwaways. It's a lot of people, and which is so sad because everybody on the planet has something to give to us, something to give to society, and something to share. I always think that people are um, slivers of God. And it's very sad when you lose each one of those slivers. All of us together, as they say, become the village. So it's important. I plan to do voice recordings of my parents to have their voice and their stories. That is a fabulous idea. The elderly are the best ones to watch the young ones. Be nice to them. That's true. Um, I remember when I was young, my grandma, both of my grandmas I loved. I mean, just like over the moon, loved them. But I remember I must have been, oh, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 years old. And my grandma Reichert on the farm. I mean, she was older. And you could see the blue veins in her hands. And she was real thin. And I I said to her that how much I loved her hands. And that I said, someday I'm going to have beautiful hands like you do. No, a lot of times when people get older, they don't think their hands are beautiful at all, but I think they're fabulous. It's like if they could tell me all those stories in their life, I would love that. It would just, you know, but I can picture my grandmother's hands um today. And she was very fair, and she had hair that went way past her behind, and she would braid it every day, and then she wrapped it around. She was German, and she was just lovely, you know. I missed her greatly when she passed, and um but they elderly people have fabulous stories to say if we'll just listen to them. How many things we would not go through because we learned something from them and it was like, yeah, we shouldn't do that. And so I hope that people I know, I impart some kind of wisdom. I do. I hope I do. I hope all of us can just enlighten, make somebody's life better. I think that's part of our goals. I'm going to start crying. No, no, don't do that. My one sister got her ears boxed by my grandmother for the elbow skin, even though my sister said, "You're so lucky to have soft elbows." Let me tell you about my other grandmother. She lived in town in Rapid City where I grew up, right? And so, and not very far. I had like 6 blocks, I rode my bicycle to her house all the time. But I would spend the night at her house a lot of times with her and my grandpa. And she she had this regiment every single day. Um, she was young when it was probably, the roaring 20s, right? When the ladies plucked all their eyebrows out and then they just drew them on. Well, when you do that so often, they don't come back. So my grandmother would always draw her eyebrows on, right? And she has this regimen. Every single night, she'd wash her face and she would use oil of Olay and she would rub it on her face and she'd go like this, and she'd pat her neck. She had this whole regimen, so I saw that every single time I spent the night with her. And she must have been saying something about, I'm just so ugly. She wasn't liking her wrinkles, right? And I said to her, now I am young. Now remember this, I am young. And I said, oh, Grandma, you're not ugly. It's just your face. She told every single boy friend that I ever had this story. And she'd go, and she said, I wasn't ugly. It was just my face. But I didn't mean it meanly. She was the one that was talking about her face. But she never let me live it down. She would tell everybody, anybody, somehow the conversation would go around and she'd go, do you know what my granddaughter said? It was crazy. Charmaine says, my grandparents told my parents that they would never babysit. They had already raised their kids. My father said the same thing, that though they did babysit a few times, but they didn't babysit very often. Now, I don't mind babysitting at all. Though the older I get, um, it can be exhausting. Like, because you got all the little ones running around. Let's do this. No, let's do this. No, I'm hungry. Up, down. And you're exhausted by the time they go home, but you love it anyway. Grandkids are the best to babysit. Nieces and nephews here. Stuff them full of sugar and send them back. That's what I always say. They can eat what they want here. I don't have to take care of them later. But no, that's what I always say, but that's not the case. Oh, she's saying, oop, that was weird. Charmaine, my mom said the same thing, so I spent so much time as I can with my grandkids. I think that was that era. It was like, I raised my kids. I don't want to do it again. But I know people now, people that we know, around our age, some of them are a little bit younger, that are actually raising their grandchildren. just because of circumstances, you know? And that's right. Kids say the darndest things. I don't know if you guys are old enough. Some of you are, I know. There used to be a show on TV that was Art Linkletter, and he would do this segment, and he would ask kids questions, and um, it was the funniest thing what kids would say. It was just crazy fun. Oh, sorry, yawning. It must be late. No, we got up really early because my brother was leaving this morning. Payback is the best. My favorite thing to do is be with my grandkids. See, that is so sweet. You know, there's only a certain amount of time, and then they get busy. Your grandkids grow up, and they want to spend more time with their friends than with their parents or their grandparents. You know, not always, but it is, you know. Oh, Jeannie says that she remembers watching that show. It was so cute. And the Art Linkletter interviewing those kids, and oh my gosh. We would watch that and we would laugh and laugh and laugh. Oh, excuse me. I don't usually yawn. I must be way tired. Everyone on the planet has something that they can teach and learn from. When that are true words, completely true words that I think we sometimes, even when we just don't even think about it. I think we get busy. We just don't have time for everybody, but we miss out because we're so busy. And so it's crazy. Hello, young lady. How are ya? Yep, kids say the darndest things. That's right. But everybody, I am past my time. I'm 16 minutes past my time, 17 minutes past my time. I apologize. I was a little late. Angie, thank you very much for calling me on the phone. And I hope by next week I have this all figured out with time changes. I mean, it drives me crazy. Everybody, I got to go. And I hope you have a great weekend. Angie, I will talk to you tomorrow. And I will, Teresa, I'll look for those peppermints either tomorrow or Monday morning. And I will get those shipped out to you. Okay. Everybody, I love you. 1, 4, 3. I love you. Okay. Night, everybody.